Welcome, everyone. Today we are going to talk about something that quietly controls the direction of your entire life. Not talent, not luck, not intelligence, but something much deeper. Daily discipline. Look carefully at the world around you. Some people slowly build powerful lives. They become successful. They achieve things that once seemed impossible. And others, year after year, remain stuck in the same place. The difference is rarely opportunity. The difference is rarely intelligence. The real difference is something most people ignore. Daily discipline. Because life does not change in one big moment. Life changes through small actions repeated every single day. The person who wakes up early every morning. The person who works when they don't feel like working. The person who keeps going when motivation disappears. That person slowly builds something powerful. A strong mind, a powerful character, an unstoppable life. While others are waiting for motivation, disciplined people are already moving forward. And the truth is something most people never understand. Discipline is freedom. Discipline frees you from laziness. It frees you from regret. It frees you from living a life that is smaller than your potential. Without discipline, life becomes random. You wake up late. You waste time. You follow distractions. You postpone your dreams. But when discipline enters your life, something incredible happens. Your days become intentional. Your mind becomes stronger. Your actions become sharper. And slowly, quietly, powerfully, your life begins to transform. And in today's video, we are going to explore the power of daily discipline. Not in a complicated way, but in a clear, simple, powerful way that can truly change how you think, how you act, and how you build your future. If you truly understand these principles, discipline will stop feeling like punishment. It will start feeling like power. So, listen carefully, because what you are about to learn can completely change the way you approach your life. And while listening, you'll also train your English naturally. So if you want to grow your mindset and your English at the same time, subscribe to the channel and start this journey with us. Step 1. All successful people are highly disciplined. If you study successful people closely, you will begin to notice something very interesting. They are not always the smartest people. They are not always the most talented people. But they almost always share one powerful trait. They are highly disciplined. Discipline is the invisible force behind almost every great achievement, behind every successful business, behind every Olympic athlete, behind every great scientist, behind every great artist. There is daily discipline. Think about it for a moment. Success is not created in one big effort. It is created through thousands of small disciplined actions. One workout, one practice session, one focused hour, one page read, one skill improved, over and over again, every single day. For example, consider Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players in history. Many people admire his talent, but what most people don't see is his discipline. Michael Jordan was known for training longer than anyone else on his team. When others stopped practicing, he continued. When others were tired, he kept pushing. He repeated the same drills again and again. Not because it was exciting, not because it was fun, but because he understood something powerful. Greatness is built through discipline. The same is true in every field. Successful entrepreneurs wake up early and work when others are sleeping. Great writers write every day, even when they don't feel inspired. Top athletes train even when their bodies are tired. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Because motivation is emotional. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel excited, some days you feel lazy. But discipline is different. Discipline does not ask, "Do I feel like doing this today?" Discipline simply says, "This must be done." And that is why disciplined people slowly move ahead of everyone else. While others wait for the perfect mood, disciplined people keep working. While others postpone, disciplined people act. While others dream, disciplined people build. And over time, the difference becomes enormous. What started as a small daily habit becomes a completely different life. The truth is simple but powerful. Success does not belong to the most talented people. Success belongs to the most disciplined people. Step 2. The science of daily discipline. Now here is something fascinating. Discipline is not only a mindset, it is also science. Your brain is constantly changing based on what you repeat every day. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. It simply means your brain builds stronger connections for actions that you repeat regularly. In other words, the more you repeat something, the easier it becomes for your brain to do it again. At first, discipline feels difficult. When you wake up early for the first time, it feels painful. When you start exercising, your body resists. When you sit down to study or work, your mind wants distraction. This happens because your brain is used to comfort. It prefers easy habits: scrolling, watching, delaying, avoiding effort. But when you begin practicing discipline every day, something incredible happens. Your brain slowly adapts. The actions that once felt difficult start feeling normal. And eventually, they start feeling natural. A simple example from nature can help explain this. Imagine a small path in a forest. The first person who walks through the forest has to push branches away. The ground is rough. The path is unclear. But if people continue walking on that same path every day, something changes. The path becomes clearer. The ground becomes smoother. The direction becomes easier to follow. Your brain works in the same way. Every time you repeat a disciplined action, waking up early, studying, exercising, practicing a skill, you strengthen that mental path. And eventually, the path becomes automatic. What once required willpower becomes a habit. And what once felt difficult becomes part of your normal life. This is why daily discipline is so powerful. Because discipline is not just about today's effort. It is about training your brain for the future. Every disciplined action is shaping your mind. Every small victory is building mental strength. And slowly your brain becomes the brain of a disciplined person. A person who acts instead of procrastinating. A person who builds instead of delaying. A person who moves forward instead of standing still. And once discipline becomes part of your brain, your life begins to move in a completely different direction. Because discipline is not just something you do, it becomes who you are. Step 3. Write down your goals. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in life is not because they are weak, not because they are unlucky, not because they are incapable. They stay stuck because they are unclear. They want a better life, but they do not know exactly what that better life looks like. They say, "I want success. I want money. I want peace. I want confidence. I want to improve." But these are only wishes. They are not clear goals. And this is where discipline begins to separate itself from dreaming. Because disciplined people do not only hope, they define. They take what is in their mind and put it in front of their eyes. They write it down. And that simple action is much more powerful than most people understand. When you write down your goals, something changes inside you. The goal stops floating in your head like smoke. It becomes more real. It becomes more serious. It becomes something you can look at, measure, and return to again and again. A goal written down has power because it creates direction, and direction is one of the greatest gifts in life. Think about a ship in the middle of the ocean. If that ship has no destination, then no wind can truly help it. It may move, but it will move randomly. It may travel, but it will not arrive with meaning. That is how many people live. Busy but not focused. Moving but not progressing. Doing many things but not reaching anything important. Writing down your goals changes that. It gives your life a destination. It tells your mind, this is where we are going. And when your mind knows where to go, your actions become stronger. Your energy becomes sharper. Your discipline becomes easier. Because now you are not suffering for no reason. Now you are sacrificing for something meaningful. That is one of the deepest truths about discipline. Discipline becomes much easier when your purpose is clear. When you know exactly why you are waking up early, you can wake up with power. When you know exactly why you are practicing English, you can practice even on hard days. When you know exactly why you are saving money, building skill, controlling your habits, and protecting your focus, then those actions stop feeling empty. They become part of a mission. And people who have a mission can endure much more than people who only have a mood. That is why writing down your goals is not a small thing. It is not a childish thing. It is not a motivational trick. It is a serious act of self-direction. It is you deciding that your life will no longer be ruled by confusion. It is you taking leadership over your own future. A simple, everyday example can make this even clearer. Imagine two students. The first student says, I want to do well in life. The second student writes, I want to improve my English speaking in 6 months. I want to read 10 pages every day. I want to practice speaking for 20 minutes daily. I want to wake up at 6 a.m. I want to apply for better opportunities next year. Now look at the difference. The first student has desire. The second student has direction. The first student may feel motivated for a day. The second student has something to follow every day. And that is why the second student has a much greater chance of transformation. Because discipline needs a target. If your mind has no target, it will waste energy everywhere. It will chase random things. It will get distracted easily. It will feel busy all day and empty at night. But when you write your goals down, your mind starts organizing itself around what matters. You begin to notice what helps you and what hurts you. You begin to see what deserves your time and what does not. You begin to understand what must be done today if you truly want tomorrow to look different. And here is something else very important. Writing down your goals also creates accountability. When a goal stays only in your head, it is easy to change it, easy to excuse it, easy to forget it, easy to lie to yourself. But when it is written down, it becomes harder to escape. The paper reminds you. The page confronts you. It quietly asks, are you serious or not? That is powerful. Because many people are in love with the idea of a better life. But disciplined people are committed to building one. And commitment begins with clarity. So if you truly want discipline, do not just carry your dreams in your emotions. Write them down. Write them clearly. Write them honestly. Write them specifically. Not 10,000 things. Not fantasy. Not empty words. Write what really matters. Write the kind of person you want to become. Write the habits you must build. Write the life you want to create. Then read those goals again and again. In the morning, let them guide you. At night, let them examine you. On weekdays, let them remind you. On strong days, let them push you further. Because when your goals are written down, your life stops being random. It starts becoming intentional. And intentional living is the birthplace of discipline. So many people say they want a different future, but very few are willing to sit down, face themselves, and clearly define that future. Be one of the rare people. Take your dreams out of the air and place them on paper. Because the moment you write down a true goal, you are no longer just a dreamer. You become a builder, and builders change their lives. Step 4. Set priorities. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is this: I just need more time. But in many cases, that is not the real problem. The real problem is not time. The real problem is priority. Because everyone gets 24 hours. The difference is not that successful people found extra hours hidden somewhere. The difference is that they learned to put the most important things first. That is what discipline does. Discipline teaches you to stop treating everything as equally important. Because everything cannot be important. If everything matters, then nothing truly matters. And that is why many people feel overwhelmed, confused, and tired. They try to do too many things. They give attention to small things and ignore life-changing things. They answer every message but ignore their own future. They spend energy on noise but have no energy left for growth. They are active all day, but their activity has no order. And a life without order becomes a life without power. This is why setting priorities is one of the most important parts of discipline. A disciplined person does not only ask, "What should I do today?" They ask a deeper question. What matters most today? That question can change your entire life. Because not every task deserves the same energy. Some things are urgent but not important. Some things are entertaining but useless. Some things feel easy, so we do them first, even though they do not move our life forward. And some things are difficult, uncomfortable, and slow. But they are the exact things that can change our future. Discipline means learning to choose those important things first. That is not always exciting. In fact, many times it feels uncomfortable. Because priorities force you to be honest. They force you to admit that some things must wait, some things must be reduced, and some things must be removed. That can feel hard because the mind loves variety. The mind loves distraction. The mind loves running toward what feels good now. But disciplined people understand something that changes everything. A powerful life is built by focused attention, not scattered attention. Imagine sunlight falling on the ground. It gives light, but it does not burn. Now imagine that same sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. Suddenly that light becomes powerful enough to create fire. Why? Because it is focused. That is exactly what priorities do in your life. They focus your energy, and focused energy creates results. Without priorities, you can spend years being busy without becoming effective. You can fill your day with movement and still feel like your life is standing still. You can answer calls, watch videos, clean little things, scroll endlessly, think endlessly, plan endlessly, and still avoid the one task that truly matters. That is why discipline is not just working hard. It is working on the right thing. A short story can help explain this. Imagine a man who says he wants to change his life. He says he wants better health, more confidence, more money, and a stronger future. Every morning he wakes up with big dreams, but then his day starts. He checks his phone for just 5 minutes, and that becomes 40 minutes. Then he watches random videos. Then he reacts to every small distraction. Then he does tiny, easy tasks because they feel productive. By evening, he feels tired. He tells himself he was busy, but deep down, he knows the truth. He touched many things, but he did not touch the thing that mattered most. Now imagine another man. He also has 24 hours. He also feels tired sometimes. He also has problems. But every morning he asks himself one simple question. What is the most important thing I must do today to move my life forward? And then he does that first. Maybe it is studying. Maybe it is practicing English. Maybe it is exercising. Maybe it is working on his business. Maybe it is reading, writing, learning, building, applying, or preparing. He does not start with comfort. He starts with priority. After a few months, these two people will no longer live the same kind of life. Not because one got lucky, but because one respected priority and the other obeyed distraction. This is how powerful priorities are. They quietly shape your destiny. Because your life does not become what you talk about. Your life becomes what you repeatedly put first. That is a powerful truth. If comfort always comes first, your future will remain weak. If distraction always comes first, your growth will remain slow. If entertainment always comes first, your potential will remain buried. But if your mission comes first, your life begins to rise. This does not mean you must become cold, robotic, or joyless. It simply means you must become clear. Clear about what deserves your best hours. Clear about what your future needs from you. Clear about what you must protect if you truly want to become more. Setting priorities is an act of maturity. It is the moment you stop saying yes to everything. It is the moment you stop living by impulse. It is the moment you stop allowing the smallest things to steal the biggest possibilities from your life. And this is one of the deepest powers of daily discipline. It teaches you not only how to work, but how to choose. And if you learn to choose well, your life will change. Because the truth is, you do not need to do everything. You need to do what matters most. That is where power is. That is where progress is. That is where transformation begins. So before you ask for a more successful life, ask yourself, what am I putting first every day? Because whatever stands first in your daily life is quietly shaping the person you are becoming. Choose carefully. Your future is being built by your priorities. Step 5. The compound effect of daily discipline. Most people want a big life, big success, big change, big results, big transformation. But the truth is, most big results are not created by big actions. They are created by small actions repeated for a long time. This is one of the deepest powers of daily discipline. Daily discipline looks small in the moment, sometimes so small that it does not feel important at all. Reading 10 pages does not look powerful. Saving a little money does not look powerful. Practicing English for 20 minutes does not look powerful. Doing one workout does not look powerful. Waking up on time one single day does not look powerful. But that is exactly where most people misunderstand life. They judge actions by what they see today. Disciplined people judge actions by what they will become tomorrow. That is wisdom. That is maturity. That is how powerful lives are built. The compound effect means that small disciplined actions keep growing over time. They do not stay small. They multiply. They build on each other. They create momentum. And one day, what looked ordinary becomes extraordinary. Think about money for a moment. If you invest a small amount again and again, it grows. Not only because of the amount you add, but because growth begins to grow on growth. That is the power of compounding. Now apply that same truth to your life. One day of discipline may not change your life, but 1 year of discipline will. One choice may not look dramatic, but thousands of choices create a completely different person. This is why disciplined people never laugh at small progress. They respect it, because they understand that small progress is how greatness begins. A non-person example fits this step perfectly. Imagine water falling on a rock. 1 drop looks weak. 2 drops look weak. 1 day of water looks weak. Nothing dramatic happens. The rock still looks strong. The drop still looks small. But if that water keeps falling in the same place, day after day, month after month, year after year, something incredible happens. The rock begins to change, not because of one violent moment, but because of repeated pressure. That is exactly how discipline changes your life. Your bad habits may look like a rock right now. Your weak mindset may look like a rock right now. Your fear, inconsistency, laziness, distractions, excuses, all of them may feel strong. But if you keep applying daily discipline, the rock will not remain the same. It will break. It will reshape. It will give way. Because repeated disciplined action is stronger than almost any obstacle. And that is why you must stop disrespecting small efforts. The world often celebrates dramatic success. People notice the result. They see the fit body. They see the money. They see the confidence. They see the fluency. They see the achievement. But what they usually do not see is the compound effect behind it. They do not see the early mornings. They do not see the repeated boring actions. They do not see the days when nothing felt exciting. They do not see the invisible discipline that slowly built visible power. This is why many people quit too early. They start something good. They try for a few days. They make a little effort. But because they do not see immediate results, they stop. And that is tragic, because they quit at the stage where nothing looks impressive yet. They give up before the compound effect begins to show its beauty. That is why discipline requires faith. You must be willing to do the right thing before the reward becomes visible. You must trust that repeated effort is doing something inside you, even when the outside still looks the same. That is one of the hardest parts of growth. Sometimes the deepest changes are happening in silence, like a seed under the ground. For a while, nothing seems visible. People may even think nothing is happening. But below the surface, roots are forming. Strength is forming. Life is forming. And then one day, what was hidden begins to rise. Your discipline works in the same way. Every page you read matters. Every time you control your mouth matters. Every time you protect your focus matters. Every time you choose to practice instead of postpone matters. Every time you say no to what weakens you and yes to what strengthens you matters. Nothing is wasted, nothing. Even when the result looks invisible, the process is still changing you. That is why daily discipline is so powerful. Because it does not only build outcomes, it builds identity. It turns you into someone stronger, sharper, calmer, and more reliable. And once that identity becomes strong, success stops being an accident. It becomes a natural result. This is why you should never say, "It is only a small habit." There is no such thing as only when it comes to daily discipline. A small habit can become a giant future. A small habit can become confidence. A small habit can become skill. A small habit can become money. A small habit can become peace. A small habit can become mastery. The life you admire in other people is often not built by one huge decision. It is built by 1,000 invisible disciplined decisions. And the same power is available to you. You do not need to change your whole life in one day. You need to win the day. Then win again tomorrow. Then again. Then again. That is how ordinary people become uncommon. That is how weak people become strong. That is how confused people become focused. That is how dreamers become builders. So do not ask only, "What huge thing can I do?" Ask something better. What small disciplined thing can I repeat so consistently that my future will have no choice but to change? Because once the compound effect begins working in your favor, your life will no longer move slowly. It will begin to rise with power, and one day people will call your transformation amazing. But you will know the truth. It was not magic. It was daily discipline, repeated long enough to become destiny. Step 6. Benefits of planning. Many people say they want a disciplined life, but they do not plan their days. And because they do not plan, they live in reaction mode. They wake up and simply respond to whatever appears. A message comes, and they respond. A distraction comes, and they follow it. A random thought comes, and they chase it. A mood changes, and their whole day changes. This is not discipline. This is drift. And a drifting life can never become a powerful life. Planning is one of the quiet strengths of disciplined people. It may not look exciting. It may not look dramatic. It may not impress anyone on the outside. But planning gives shape to your energy. It gives order to your time. It gives direction to your effort. And when your day has direction, discipline becomes much easier. Because one of the biggest enemies of discipline is confusion. When you do not know what to do, you waste energy deciding. When you do not know what matters, you waste energy guessing. When you do not know your next step, you become vulnerable to distraction. Planning protects you from that. It reduces unnecessary decisions. It helps you begin the day with clarity. It tells your mind, "This is what matters. This is what must be done. This is where today's energy will go." That is powerful. Because every day you wake up with a certain amount of mental energy. If you waste that energy on random choices, scattered thoughts, and last-minute confusion, very little is left for real progress. But when you plan, you protect your energy for what truly matters. A real person example suits this step well. Think about Benjamin Franklin, one of the most disciplined and productive men in history. He was known for planning his day carefully. He asked himself in the morning, "What good shall I do this day?" And at night he reflected on how he had lived. That is not a small thing. That is a person taking responsibility for his time. He did not just hope for a meaningful day. He prepared for one. And that is what planning really is. Planning is not controlling every second like a machine. Planning is deciding that your life is too valuable to leave to accident. It is saying, "My time matters. My future matters. My effort matters. So I will not live carelessly." One of the greatest benefits of planning is that it reduces stress. This may sound surprising to some people. Some people think planning makes life hard, but in truth, lack of planning creates much more stress. When you do not plan, everything feels urgent. Everything feels messy. Your mind keeps running in circles. You remember tasks too late. You forget important things. You start one thing, then another, then another. At the end of the day, you feel exhausted. Not because you did the most important work, but because your mind was overloaded by disorder. Planning removes much of that burden. It gives your mind peace. It helps you stop carrying everything in your head. It places things where they belong. And when your mind is less crowded, you can focus more deeply. Another powerful benefit of planning is that it helps you become honest with your life. A planned day reveals truth. It shows you what you say is important and what you actually make time for. Many people say they want to improve their English, their health, their finances, their confidence, or their future. But when you look at how they spend their day, the truth is different. Planning forces alignment. It asks, if this really matters, where is it in your day? That question can change a life. Because a dream without time is only a wish. A priority without a place in your schedule is only an idea. Planning takes your values and turns them into action. And action is where transformation begins. Another beautiful thing about planning is that it protects you from emotional living. Without planning, your mood can control your day. If you feel lazy, you delay. If you feel distracted, you drift. If you feel discouraged, you do nothing. But when you have a plan, you do not have to ask your emotions for permission. You already know what must be done. The plan becomes your guide. It helps you move even when feelings are unstable. That is a major secret of disciplined people. They do not build their life around emotion. They build it around structure. And structure creates freedom. When your day has structure, you stop wasting your best hours. You stop giving your mind to useless noise. You stop letting every small thing interrupt your progress. Instead, you create space for the things that truly build you. A plan does not need to be complicated. In fact, the best planning is often simple. A few clear priorities. A clear time to do them. A clear idea of what the day must contain. That is enough to create power. You do not need a perfect system. You need an intentional day. And over time, intentional days create an intentional life. That is why planning is not just a productivity trick. It is a form of self-respect. It is a way of saying, I will not throw this day away. I will not live carelessly. I will not hand my life to distraction. Because every day is a piece of your future. And when you plan your day, you are shaping your future on purpose. That is a beautiful thing. That is a powerful thing. And that is why disciplined people plan. Not because they are obsessed with control, but because they understand that an unplanned life is easily stolen by less important things. So if you want to become more disciplined, do not just try harder. Plan better. Give your effort a direction. Give your time a structure. Give your day a purpose. Because when you learn to plan, you stop being pulled by the day. You begin to lead it. And the person who leads the day slowly begins to lead their life. Step 7. The mastery of your thoughts. Before a person loses control in action, they usually lose control in thought first. Before quitting, there is a thought. Before procrastinating, there is a thought. Before giving up, doubting yourself, wasting time, or ruining a good habit, there is usually a conversation happening inside the mind. That is why one of the deepest forms of discipline is not physical. It is mental. It is the mastery of your thoughts. Many people try to change their life only on the outside. They try to change their routine. They try to change their actions. They try to change their results. But they ignore the voice inside them. And that voice is powerful because the mind is like a command center. What happens there eventually shapes everything else. If your thoughts are weak, your actions will become weak. If your thoughts are scattered, your energy will become scattered. If your thoughts are full of excuses, fear, and self-pity, your discipline will break again and again. That is why daily discipline is not only about controlling what your body does, it is about controlling what your mind allows. You must learn to watch your thoughts, challenge your thoughts, lead your thoughts. Because if you do not lead them, they will lead you. And an undisciplined mind can destroy even a talented person. Think about how many people lose the battle before they even begin. They sit down to work and a thought says, "This is too hard." They start building a habit and a thought says, "You never stay consistent anyway." They try to change and a thought says, "What is the point? You always fail." They try again tomorrow and the mind says, "Rest today. Start seriously next week." The tragedy is that many people do not even realize they are obeying these thoughts. They treat every thought like truth. But not every thought deserves your trust. Some thoughts are fear speaking. Some thoughts are laziness speaking. Some thoughts are old conditioning speaking. Some thoughts are the voice of your past trying to keep control over your future. That is why mental mastery is so important. You must learn to separate yourself from the noise in your own head. You must be able to say, "Just because I thought it does not mean I must believe it. Just because I feel it does not mean I must obey it." That is power. That is maturity. That is the beginning of inner discipline. A short story fits this step very well. The mind becomes stronger in the direction you train it. If you constantly obey excuses, excuses become louder. If you constantly obey fear, fear becomes stronger. If you constantly obey distraction, focus becomes harder. But if you repeatedly choose truth, effort, responsibility, and courage, those voices begin to grow. That is why your thoughts must be trained, not worshipped. Many people treat their emotions and thoughts like kings. If the mind says no, they stop. If the mind says later, they delay. If the mind says hard, they quit. But disciplined people understand a deeper truth. The mind is a tool. It is powerful, but it must be trained. You are not here to be the servant of every passing thought. You are here to become the master of your inner world. And when you master your inner world, your outer world starts changing too. Because then you can act even when the mind complains. You can focus even when the mind wanders. You can keep going even when the mind wants comfort. That is real strength. Another powerful part of mastering your thoughts is learning what you feed your mind. Your thoughts are not created from nothing. They are shaped by what you watch, what you hear, what you read, what you repeat, and what you allow around you. If you fill your mind every day with negativity, noise, comparison, shallow entertainment, fear, and mental pollution, then your thoughts will become heavy and weak. But if you feed your mind with truth, wisdom, discipline, reflection, learning, and higher thinking, your inner life becomes stronger. This is why mental discipline is a daily practice. It is not one decision. It is constant watchfulness. It is catching yourself when the mind goes in the wrong direction. It is refusing to let one weak thought become a weak day. It is refusing to let one bad mood become a broken routine. It is refusing to let one negative voice become your identity. And this matters so much because your life is always moving in the direction of your dominant thoughts. If you think like a victim, you act like a victim. If you think like a builder, you act like a builder. If you think like someone powerless, you delay and shrink. If you think like someone responsible, you rise and act. This is why daily discipline must include mental discipline. You must become careful about what you say to yourself. Careful about what stories you repeat in your head. Careful about how you interpret struggle. When something is hard, do not immediately think, "This is too much." Train yourself to think, "This is building me." When progress is slow, do not think, "This is useless." Train yourself to think, "This is how strong things are built." When you fail, do not think, "I am finished." Train yourself to think, "I am learning." This is not fake positivity. This is disciplined thinking. And disciplined thinking creates disciplined action. So if you want to become powerful, do not only organize your outer life, enter your inner life. Look at your thoughts. Question them. Train them. Lead them. Because when the mind becomes disciplined, the rest of life begins to follow. And once you master your thoughts, you stop being controlled by weakness inside you. You begin to build a mind that supports your future instead of sabotaging it. That is one of the greatest powers a human being can develop. And that power begins daily. Thought by thought. Choice by choice. Step 8. Stop doing things that you shouldn't do. Most people think discipline means adding more good habits. But real discipline is also about removing the habits that are destroying your life. Because sometimes your life is not stuck because you are doing too little. Your life is stuck because you are doing too much of the wrong things. Too much distraction. Too much scrolling. Too much comfort. Too much delay. Too much time given to things that do not build your future. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while the bucket has holes at the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, it keeps leaking out. That is exactly what bad habits do to your life. They drain your focus. They drain your energy. They drain your discipline. So sometimes the most powerful decision is not starting something new. Sometimes the most powerful decision is saying, "This behavior ends today." Because the moment you stop feeding what weakens you, the things that strengthen you finally have space to grow. That is discipline. Step 9. Developing a long-term mindset. One of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting fast results. They want success in weeks. They want transformation in days. They want mastery without patience. But real success does not happen quickly. It happens slowly, and then suddenly. Disciplined people understand something powerful. Great lives are built over time. A farmer plants seeds and does not panic the next day because nothing has grown yet. He understands seasons. Your life works the same way. Every disciplined action is a seed. Reading every day is a seed. Practicing a skill is a seed. Controlling your habits is a seed. Improving your mind is a seed. At first, nothing dramatic appears. But if you stay patient and consistent, those seeds grow into something powerful. So stop asking, "Why hasn't my life changed this week?" Start asking, "Who will I become if I stay disciplined for the next 5 years?" That question changes everything. Step 10. Make discipline part of your identity. The highest level of discipline is when it becomes who you are. Most people say, I'm trying to be disciplined. But disciplined people say, I am a disciplined person. That difference is powerful. Because people always act according to the identity they believe about themselves. If you believe you are lazy, you will keep acting lazy. If you believe you are inconsistent, you will keep quitting. But when you start seeing yourself as someone who keeps promises to themselves, everything changes. Each small disciplined action becomes proof of your new identity. You wake up when you said you would. You finish what you started. You keep your word. And slowly you stop forcing discipline. You become discipline. And when discipline becomes part of your identity, your life changes forever. Because now you are no longer depending on motivation. You are depending on character. Remember this. Your life will not change in one big moment. Your life will change in small, disciplined actions repeated every single day. Every time you choose focus over distraction. Every time you choose growth over comfort. Every time you keep the promise you made to yourself. You are building a stronger version of you. One disciplined day may not look powerful, but hundreds of disciplined days can completely transform your life. So start today. Start small, but stay consistent, because daily discipline is not just a habit. It is the bridge between the life you have and the life you truly want.